the changes will take. Certainly, we're living in interesting times, and that will continue. And I think we are really in for all kinds of surprises as the fall comes. Great apparitions. Now, the other saying you had was, what was the other saying you had?
Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for. Well, that is something I would not as immediately. I've heard this said before, of course, the idea is that there is such a creative power in the human individual, and what she sets to her mind, that if she actually wishes for something, it may come true, and then it may surprise her in such a way that it's not exactly desirable. But I think today we are. I think, according to the cosmic plan in the ninth wave, it's not so much about us human beings setting like I want this, and then getting some kind of a vision, and then maybe it will not be to my liking eventually. I think there's a tremendous culling going on from the ninth wave, where only those wishes that are really aligned with the cosmic plan has a chance of surviving or manifesting. This might always have been true, but I think is much more true than ever. So I think the risks of manifesting something based on your vision that is not consistent with the cosmic plan, I think that is much less, that risk, in the ninth wave than it has been previously. I think the cosmic plan is now sort of more or less compelling us to wish only certain things within a certain framework, and only those things will manifest. Of course, we can always wish things, but only a kind of a narrow, it might be narrowing what we may actually manifest in this particular way.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have one more question. It's really Lua's question, who was unable to ask it tonight. So I'm going to read you her question. There are several different perceptions of what it will mean to go from this age into a new age, or from this world into a new world, following the end of the universal co-creation cycles. Some people expect to shift from this three-dimensional world into a fifth density world. This would mean no need for food, water, shelter, etc. In other words, we would no longer have physical bodies, but would be spiritual beings. When I heard this described, it sounded very much to me like a description of life after death, rather than life on a physical planet as corporal beings. Other people think that the changes are dealing solely with Earth changes, with reasons ranging from a planet coming into the solar system to an Earth that is expanding to an erupting sun. Whatever it is, it appears to be cyclic, happening every 11,500 years, every 3,600 years, every 26,000 years, or a combination of all three. How do you feel about these two very different realities ahead of us? Are we going to continue as physical beings, or will the entire planet morph into a different reality of being?
Yeah, I think there are two questions in that. And the first one is the one with the 3D and 4D and 5D dimensions. And my answer there is simply that I don't quite know what people mean by these dimensions. So my friend and collaborator, Barbara Hancock, she has written about 9 dimensions. I think that's something a little bit different from these dimensions that you hear very commonly. But anyway, these dimensions, fourth and fifth dimensions, they're not part of my terminology, and I cannot really relate to it. But I can answer your question. I don't think that we will be like spirits without any substance, like dead people, as you say. I think after the completion of all of this creation, we will be very much physical people also, and otherwise I don't see why bother with all of this evolution of creation if it's just going to be spirit, because that could probably have been created in a much simpler way. So that's why I guess I have two answers there. I don't use the terminology of 4 and 5 dimensions. I think it's very probably metaphysical people that are using that, and I can't really relate to it. But I do think that people will be very physical also after the calendar comes to an end. Then there is another question here. It's about the earth changes and some kind of cyclical physical things here. And here it's to me then what I always emphasize is that the Mayan calendar is the only calendar that is not based on the physical reality. It is not based on astronomical cycles, and this makes it. To me, that really becomes a cause for hope. I don't really believe in this Nibiru story. I don't think there is any evidence for it whatsoever. But if I did, everything would be about physical events. So there are these people talking about earth changes, almost like liking all these earth changes. Becomes very you completely miss this aspect of evolution that is expressed in the Mayan calendar about the evolution of consciousness and towards unity consciousness. And the way I look upon it, all of evolution is designed for that. And whatever earth changes or calamities or catastrophes that might be coming, they're actually, if you look upon it from my perspective, they are, you might say, necessary evils to produce this desired evolution of consciousness. It's possible that there are certainly there are. The universe is full of these different material cycles, astronomical cycles of all kinds, and I think, but those that are interested in the Mayan calendar, they have some added aspect of reality, which is the evolution of the non-physical reality.
So that the focus, really, the real focus isn't on the physical calamities that may or may not be coming upon us, but on the growth of the soul or the spirit and the unity of consciousness.
Yeah, it is. Or I'm trying to look upon it from the perspective of the creator, and if I were the creator, I would make a plan in terms of the evolution of the soul, of the mind of people, and then when you start to think about yourself in that position of God, so to speak, if I were God, you realize it's not that easy to do, and that there will be costs for whatever kind of advances in evolution that you might want to accomplish.
Could you repeat the last phrase? I couldn't quite hear it.
Now, I basically just said that I mean, I'm just playing with the idea of creating a universe, and and pointing out that almost all kinds of advances in terms of spiritual evolution or unity consciousness would have to be paid in terms of some price of negative effects on the physical level.
You think so?
Well, otherwise I think God would have created the world differently.
Well, I guess that would account for the evil twin brother, or the dual consciousness, or the duality of some peoples.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I've sure enjoyed. I'm sure we've all enjoyed this chance to chat with you. It's been really wonderful that you've been able to meet with us.
Well, thank you. And yes, I think it's been a very constructive dialogue. And I don't know who it was. There was somebody, I should acknowledge that. Somebody in was it you? Somebody in the group who suggested the idea that, you know, the very end of since the beginning of certain waves create earthquakes, maybe the end will also carry it. And I was very strongly influenced by that input, and I'm using that in the article that I'm writing about Calleman.
So I can't wait to read your article. Where will it be published?
It will be on my website.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Okay, thank you, Carl, for your time tonight. Tack så mycket. There is a Swedish proverb: those who wish to sing always find a song. Many in the world are glad you found your song, Dr. Calleman, as your knowledge and persistence in seeking the truth has helped many to awaken. On behalf of Fox and all the members of the WebBot Forum, we thank you, sir. In our own tradition, may you have many pies to come.
Thank you very much. Tack så mycket. I can answer to you too. It's been a great pleasure. Truly, I really mean that. It's been a very interesting dialogue, and I like this format of several people bringing their knowledge and coming with questions. And it's also, you know, there is something very special with this WebBot project, because it really adds, it adds a basis for talking about these matters, especially when it comes to emphasizing the uncertainty we would have in the future, but also, of course, the certainty that lies in the fact that there is still a future, and so far it's charted, and maybe there will become a time when it will be uncharted. So tack så mycket allihopa, och tack för att ni ville vara med i det här programmet. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.